Earlier on this morning, we were talking to Vincent Heringer from RadioLIVE magazine. He's talking about Amazon, and that started off flogging books and Kindles, and how it's become massive, a $74 billion company. And what has made it so successful is its customer base, the relationship that the customers have with them, and that is what works so well for them, which is actually perfect because Harold Hillman is joining me now. You all know Harold, the leadership coach, author, celebrity speaker, and author of the book The Imposter Syndrome. Was I think it was Whitcoul's Business Book of the Year last year. But Harold was intending to talk to me this morning about customer satisfaction. So, very timely, Harold.
That's right, it is. It is. And look, there's a lot of research out there that's been conducted over the last 4 decades or so. And it all boils down to some pretty just compelling reasons why you really need to focus on making sure that when customers leave your website or your store, that they're content, that they're satisfied. It's the customer satisfaction is the best indicator of whether or not a customer will return to make a purchase, but also, conversely, if that customer is dissatisfied, he or she is going to talk to, on the average, of 16 people about their bad experience. And so you can't leave customer satisfaction to happenstance, whether you run a large business or a small business. You've got to focus on it.
Even if the customer is wrong?
Yeah, that's an important question, Mark, because there's a principle out there that says that the customer is always right. And I believe that is that's important to keep in our minds for the average person that walks through the door who means well. But, there are some customers that will tend to pull you off of what I call your true north or your own ethical standing, wanting you to sort of compromise on principles that mean a lot to you. Or for that matter, if someone comes in and just begins to berate or abuse one of your team or one of your staff members, there are certain lines in the sand that I think customers cannot cross. But in general, I believe it is a good principle to, as a starting point, the customer's always right. Let's try to put ourselves in their shoes and understand their perspective and where they're coming from.
Harold, I presume people have been studying customers and customer satisfaction for decades.
That's right.
Are we still looking for the answer, or do we sort of know some of the basic principles?
We know some of the basic principles, Mark. It really comes down to a few things. Keep the golden rule in mind. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's just decent, sort of human empathy with another person. But we do know some things from research that customers like people who seem knowledgeable and available and accessible. And in today's era, we want it now, which means that we place a lot of value on accurate information served by people who know what they're doing. They know the products. We do value friendly people. When customers go into a store or on the phone with a member of your team, they value that sense of people who are working hard to make a personal connection. Value is important, but value is more than price, Mark. Service is a component of good value, information, and even follow-up. So those things are important. Convenience still is foremost in customers' minds, not just in terms of simplicity, but convenience when whether we're on a website or whether we're in a store. We like things well organized. We like things to be attractively displayed and easy to find.
In terms, Harold, of dealing with people, whether it's it's on the phone or in person, and you're talking about that friendly thing. I mean, sometimes I don't want a friend. I don't want you to, sometimes, and maybe it's just me, but sometimes you ring up and they say, how was your day? And they're getting, and no, I don't want this. I just want this problem sorted out. I don't want you to analyze my life.
Sure, and I agree with you. I have that same reaction. So there is such a thing as someone being so friendly that it almost seems patronizing, sort of those rhetorical questions like, how was your day? Like, no, we're not going to. We're talking more about people who you have a sense that you can relate to, just a general respect. You know, when you walk into a store and somebody is really just not only not interested in you standing there, but you almost seem to be a bother to them.
Oh, the classic is the old bored shop assistant on the phone talking to their mates while you're standing there waiting for some attention.
Absolutely.
Hey,
absolutely. That kind of thing. It's what you would call decent, human behavior, one person to another. And it amazes me sometimes how staff people, members of our teams, when we walk into stores or get people on the phone, just simply forget that just a courteous, sense of interacting with another person really makes a difference.
Hey, Harold, how do companies measure customer satisfaction? I mean, because I can understand how they could measure dissatisfaction because people tweet or you get on Facebook and all that stuff spreads like wildfire saying this business is a dog or don't go there, they're rude. But how can they tell whether their business is going, they're doing the right things?
Yeah, it still boils down to the standard survey that a lot of businesses give out. We fill them out when we fly airlines or, from our credit card companies or whatever it may be. And these surveys, they really are pretty good predictors. The standard survey is 1 to 10, with 1 being, look, this place sucks and I'll never come here again, all the way to 10, which is I'm an ambassador now for your company and I'm going to start bringing people through the door. And so they measure it that way. 9 to 10 on a 10-point scale is delighted. You want delighted customers, Mark, because those are the ones who go out there and they're
Tell
like
others.
Free advertisement.
Yeah. I tell you what, Harold, I'm going to give you a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 for customer satisfaction this morning. Harold Hillman. Now, don't forget, check out Harold at www.sigmoidcurve.com. We'll talk to you next week, Harold.
All right, take care, Mark.
Harold Hillman there, of course.